Hi everyone, welcome back. I know it's been several weeks since I've posted a video, and I apologize for that. I know I said that I was going to try to be on top of this a little bit, post more often, but I've had a lot going on in my personal life, and so I have not been really feeling like painting lately. And when I do, it just seems like I don't seem to have the time to do it. So the last video I posted, we used the Hive Dweller Purple speed paint all over this guy. I was hoping for more, but I think using it in the airbrush was my big mistake. I don't feel like I am going to want to go back and reprime him and start over, but I definitely didn't get the effect that I wanted from this. There's not as many of the highs as I would have liked. So I'm going to try to add those manually using some of my other Army Painter paints. I've got these airbrush colors, which I'm not going to put through the airbrush, so they're going to be pretty thin already, which is, I think, okay. I think I can work with that, but I'm just going to brush them on. I'm going to use this Alien Purple, which is a mid-tone that I think if I add it in the right way is going to give this more of the mids that I was hoping for, and then use this Coven Purple, which is a high in that triad of colors, to give it the highs. The base for that is this Broodmother Purple, which I think is actually pretty similar to the Hive Dweller's lows. I mean, it's not quite as dark, so I don't know how this triad will look. I might totally screw this up, but I'm willing to give it a try and see what happens. So I'm going to start with just some Alien Purple. I've got just a little bit of that here on my wet palette. I don't know if it would be better to try to just lightly brush it on or try to dry brush it on. So I'm going to start with just kind of a flat, wide brush, and I'm just going to thin it as much as I can and try to see how that looks if I just put just a little bit of that on while it's still kind of just wet. So we're going to start somewhere where it'll be easy to kind of undo it if I need to. I'm planning on doing green on like the legs and the arms and stuff like that. I don't know if you remember from my previous video, but we're doing that Tesseract Glow green for the like fell fire effect on this demon. So I think if I don't like the way it looks on his leg, I can fix it with some of that green later. So I'm going to start there and just kind of very thin this out and see what it looks like if I add just a little bit of this purple on there and see if that doesn't bring out at least a little more of that purple that I was kind of originally hoping to get from some of these higher areas. So just gonna really lightly try to get that on there and see what I think of it. Yeah, I don't know if I like it like that. I think maybe if I'd have gone with like more of a dry brush technique, it would have given me more what I was looking for. So I'm gonna finish this leg up with this style, and we'll just kind of see how that looks. And then I'm gonna get my dry brush set out, which I don't even know where I put that. That's useful. I should have planned ahead for this. And then I will see if dry brushing that on the other leg looks any better. So I'm just gonna clean off this brush. Give me a couple seconds to track down my dry brushes. I don't know where I left them when I was done with them last time. There they are. Alright, so I got my smallest dry brush here. And I'm going to try that, just same color, but I'm going to try dry brushing this on instead. So let's just thin that out on the dry brush palette till we're just barely seeing a little bit of that come across. Okay, let's see if that works better on this other leg. So we're just going to scrape that across those raised ridges. And see if that doesn't look a little bit better. I think that's the way to go, but I'm definitely going to need a lot more paint because not very much comes through. Because it's so thin, because it's an airbrush paint, it's not dry brushing well, which is to be expected a bit. You want kind of a thicker paint for that dry brushing. You just want to manually kind of thin it out on your palette a bit. And so you don't want it to be too thick, but you also want to have enough for it to actually come through when you brush across a raised area. There we go. I think we're just about there. That's good. Yeah, that's working much better. Oops, almost dropped him. Yeah, that definitely looked a lot better. I don't know if you guys can see the difference between the two legs. This one looks very, like, glopped on, whereas this one, you can see a lot more of that definition. And I think it looks a lot better. So I'm going to continue to just dry brush that purple onto the rest of the areas where there would be some mids for the colors on this guy. I think that's the way to go, to just give it a little more of that variation in color. Just because right now, as you can see, like, he looks so dark. I mean, yeah, in the light, sometimes you can see a little bit of that purple. Like, if I get the light to hit it just right, you can tell it's purple. But I was really looking for more of this, like, mid purple for his main kind of color scheme. So let's just try to get a little more of this on his chest there and his arms. Yeah, that's looking a lot better, actually, now that I'm doing it this way. I don't know how I'm going to fix that one leg that I got maybe too much purple now. Hopefully the green will really fix that out a bit, but we'll see how it goes once I get to that point. For now, you can see that purple, like now you can see the purple is a lot more of what I was looking for. So I think we've hit on how we want this to go at this point. Now the question is, how do I want to do this on the wings? Because the thing is that I actually want the wings to be purple. Those ridges in the middle are going to be like a grayish blue. So I don't want to go across them. I want to go up and down to fill the membrane in between and try to get as little purple. Well, I guess however much purple I get doesn't matter, because I'm just going to cover it with a bit of the blue later, but the less purple on it, I think the better. So I'm just gonna try to go up and down on it. Oh, that's too much. The angle is all weird, so it makes it really hard to really get up underneath his arm there. This one's going to be even harder. His hand's even further back. I can't even fit my brush in there very well. There we go. Oh, I'm destroying my dry brush doing this. That's okay. I got plenty of others, and they're not terribly expensive. Let's steal just a little bit extra paint from this palette. There we go. Yeah, that looks better. Now we just gotta do the back of his wings. Alright, yeah, that definitely worked really well for getting a more purple tone onto him. You can see how much more purple he looks already than he did before. So I think that's going to give us a better base to work from than that dark, just flat look that he had before. So that'll take the green a little better too, I think. So then we can focus on getting those highs once we start kind of figuring out where the green's going to go. I'm not particularly great at object source lighting, but I'm going to attempt to try to incorporate that into this design a little bit with the Fellfire giving off a bit of a green light. I have done it a few times. I have some pictures on Facebook and Instagram of a fireplace that I did from the Heroquest set that has kind of a blue flame. And I use that OSL technique for the statues and things like that around the fireplace. And I think it turned out okay. It's not the best work ever, but I feel like I did a pretty decent job with it. So we'll see how it works on this. Yeah, for this, we're going to need to... so much gunk on my mat. I have a very small detail brush. That's going to be kind of our go-to. I've got this guy. He's really small. This Citadel paintbrush has a pretty fine tip. That might work really well. I did not just lick that, for those of you who assume that's what I did. Actually, I did, but that's okay. So yeah, I'm gonna try to think of where I want all this green. I want his eyes to glow that green. I want, like I said, I want these areas down here in between these raised spots to be green. I want the cracks on his wings to have some of that green. I think what I would like to do first is maybe see how it goes just doing a little bit of this without any white. But I think that I'm going to need to put a little bit of white wherever I want the green to be, just because I don't think it'll glow the way I want it to if it's not set on the white. So let's just take just a tiny bit of this, and let's just try maybe one of these cracks on his wings. We're just gonna, actually, that looks really good. So you can see that on there. I think that's going to be just fine, at least for the wings. I don't know about for his legs and stuff, or for his eyes, but we're going to just do this green just like this in these cracks. It's already a pretty thin paint, so I don't have to thin it, which is really helpful. And then since it's thin, it just kind of flows in these little cracks, which makes it really, really easy to do what I'm trying to do here. So yeah, I think that's going to look good. As long as I don't get impatient and I don't rush, I should be able to make this look exactly how I was envisioning. Man, I wish I could keep that from drying. It looks so good when it's fresh and wet. I'm gonna keep going, but I think once this dries, I might be a little disappointed with how it looks, but we'll see. Yeah, it looks so much better before it dries. I don't know. If I do white underneath it, like I do when I use like acrylic inks, it might continue to glow after it dries. Let me see if I can find my matte white really fast and just try one little space and see how it does. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit of white. I'm going to do it on the other wing. I'm going to just do the same thing I'm doing with this green to fill that crack with white first. And then once it dries, do the green over that and see if it looks brighter once they both dry. Because I think that it might. Oh, I wish that my paint shaker, the mixer that I bought, the motor burned out in it. Now I need to buy another one. And I'm back to shaking paints by hand like a peasant. Luckily, the matte white is one that I use pretty frequently, so I don't need to shake it too much. Okay, so I've thinned it out really thin. I'm going to move this before I knock it over because I'm definitely going to do that. Alright, let's just... Oh, it's not as thin as the Technique paint. Hold on, it's not flowing the way I want it to. I didn't want to thin it too much because I just don't want to lose too much of the pigment, but it might be necessary to thin it a little more so it really flows there. Just scraping off that part that wasn't... Oh no, I scraped off some of the purple. Ah, no. That's unfortunate. I didn't realize that had dried quite as much as it had. Alright, let's see if I can do something with this mid purple that I was using. I might be able to just touch that up just enough to kind of make that red not shine through quite as much. I don't know, I might have to get the other one out again and try to do something with that. Alright, there we go. Alright guys, so that's what that green looks like by itself once it's dried. I mean, it works, but it doesn't glow. I mean, I could do a second coat. Maybe that would work while we're waiting for this white to dry. That green on the other side is dried pretty well. Let's go ahead and do a second coat and see if maybe just layering it a couple times on itself is enough to make it continue to glow. Because I can see some of the spaces where it's pooled look really bright, whereas other parts are really dull, so it's entirely possible that maybe just adding a second layer will do precisely what I was hoping it would do. I'm trying to make sure I'm centered while doing this, but it's hard to do with this lamp right in front of my face. I did go ahead and upload all of my videos to my YouTube page. That's Perrin Paints Minis. I will have the link to that in my Facebook page, and I will I'll put it also in the description of these videos. They'll have the full-length videos as well as some just clips and things like that as I record them. I've decided to mostly stick to doing live videos and then just uploading them on YouTube. That way I don't feel like I need to get bogged down in doing a pre-recorded and edited video and, you know, obsess over every little detail and cut together the best clips and whatever to make these high production value videos, because that's not what I'm about. I do this for fun, and I don't like editing videos. It's not a hobby of mine. It's not something I want to get involved with. So I don't want my videos to be about production quality. I just want it to be just this, me not really knowing what to say while I'm painting, just focusing on the project and, you know, my thoughts and little pearls of wisdom that I've learned over the years, or just sometimes I learn something in one project. Like this mini has taught me a lot. Like I've learned a lot just kind of in messing around with him. I tried something I'd never tried before, which was putting one of the speed paints through my airbrush, and it just didn't work the way I wanted it to. It came out too even, it dried too quickly while it was being sprayed, so it didn't have time to pool and create the highs, lows, and bases that it normally creates naturally. So I won't make that mistake again. And so things like that I'm learning on the go, I like to share and comment on with you guys. I think this white is dry enough to at least get an idea of what would happen if I put this green over the top of it. This isn't as deep of a thing either, so it's hard to get in there like I did on the other side. Well, it's definitely brighter than the other side, that's for sure, which, you know, obviously makes sense. It's more of a yellow than a green, which I don't know, guys. Like, I kind of like. I don't know if I like it enough to go through and do white on all of these, but on some of them, it's kind of interesting. I might do it near, like, some of the brighter areas. Like, I wanted to do, like, on his legs. Like, I don't know, maybe. I definitely will do it for his eyes, I think. I don't know. We'll wait and see how this dries after a couple layers of this go on and see if it stays this bright once it dries. It definitely makes it harder though to have another layer of paint in these tiny little cracks. They're already so small, and trying to just get paint into them is already difficult. So if you've got white paint already in there, it's taking up space, and it's making it really hard for that green to kind of go in there. You know, I don't know yet, guys. We'll see how this turns out. This definitely isn't going to be one of my best minis, I don't think. I've tried too many unknowns, and I don't think it will be consistent or look as good as some of my others, but I think it'll be interesting, and it'll be ready for the next time that I get a chance to play Heroquest with my friends, which was the whole reason I started this one in the first place. We got a chance to play while I was up in Spokane visiting for my niece's graduation. My best friend was in from North Carolina. You know, one of my other childhood friends, he lives in Spokane and works with my older brother. So the four of us got a chance to play together, and You know, I decided to play as this Warlock, and it was driving me crazy that I had unpainted minis on the table. And so I resolved to paint them when I had the chance before the next time we all got together, so that we all at least had painted minis for at least our hero characters. I've got most of the enemy classes, at least a couple of them, painted enough to be able to rotate them out on the board. So once we kill a painted one, we can replace a non-painted one with the painted figure. And so it wasn't that bad. But I'd like to get them all painted eventually. I just, especially recently with everything going on in my life, I've just not had the time to focus on painting like I would like to, you know. So I think I'm gonna just stick with the green by itself. The more that white one dries, you can see it doesn't look as deep. It doesn't look as natural. It doesn't look like it's inside his wing. I wanted it to look like it glowed more, but it doesn't. It just looks like it's sitting on top of the wing rather than being in the depths of it. So I'm hoping I can kind of cover that up a little bit with a little more of the green, but that crack is already so shallow that it's already kind of ruined. But luckily I'm not entering this piece in any competitions. It's just for my own personal use. But it is frustrating that it did that. I shouldn't have messed around with it. That's my own fault. But yeah, I like the green by itself. I think a little better without the white, so I won't be doing that again. And you live and you learn. So let's set him down there. Let's try this brush. I'm going to switch to a slightly smaller point. These cracks in the wings are getting a little more shallow, and so they're not taking this brush tip as well. I've got this really, really small, like so fine you can barely even see it, tip brush right here. So let's hope that one will do a little better. Yeah, that works. Oh man, this is going to be a tough one. So you can see this crack runs all the way up underneath here into the spine and then comes out, and it's really thin right here along the edge of this wing. Ugh, that's not working at all. Trying to get a little bit of the thicker paint that's still in the pot, just because I really want it to stay right on the tip of this brush. Oh man. You know, the funny thing is that I paint to relax, but sometimes certain parts of this, like this, are very stressful. Trying to just get into these little tiny spaces. Find myself holding my breath like I do before I take a shot or something like that, you know, when I'm out target shooting with my bow or with my gun. That moment right before you release, just breathe out and hold it for a second. I do that while I'm trying to get into these tiny little spaces. I'm hoping to invest in, you know, a GoPro or some kind of camera that's a little better for this than just the one on my phone. I don't like the quality of the video. I feel like a lot of times it's grainy or blurry and it's hard to see what I'm doing. And so I think that getting a proper professional camera, you know, something designed to be mounted and record, things like that, is probably the best option I can do to get better quality videos. Not that I do these, you know, my goal is never to be monetized or anything like that. You know, if YouTube wants to kick me a couple bucks, I guess I won't complain, but you know, I don't really want to worry about needing to put out X amount of videos per week or whatever. I'm, like I said earlier, I don't really care about the overall production quality. I would like to be able to see the details of what I'm working on in the videos, especially things like this that are really small. So, I mean, it is important that they look decent, but, so it's more just that I want to be able to do, you know, a good video, and I don't think that the phone is really living up to what I'm trying to do here. So I don't know when that would be. Hopefully soon, though, because I really do want to spend more time painting. I'm hoping that things in my life will settle down a little bit. You know, I'll know a lot more after this week of kind of what's going on in my life. There's a lot of great things going on right now, and a lot of not so great things, and so I'm hoping that they kind of balance each other out, and that once these not so great things kind of resolve themselves, I'll be able to focus more on what I love and less on things that stress me out. And then in doing so, I'll have more time for things like hobbies like painting and gaming and things like that. So this is coming along really well. I'm really happy with the way these wings are turning out. I'm really glad I remembered this effect paint that I happened to have. I don't even remember what I picked it up for originally. I've only ever used it once before. And I don't remember what it was for. I just remember, or maybe I didn't even use it. Maybe I just saw it at my local game store and was like, oh, that's a cool effect. Maybe I'll use that for something. And this is the exact perfect effect for this, so I'm really glad I happened to have it. It's almost gone, though. I'm going to have to order some more or try to find a local game store that has one. Since I moved here to Eugene, I haven't really had a chance to explore too many of the local game stores. I have checked out a couple. There's one in Springfield that I really like. It's close to the hospital where I work, and so I can get off work and stop by if I need to pick something up on my way home or something like that, and that's really nice. And then there was a Warhammer focused store that I went to because I needed to pick up specific basing item that I felt confident that they would have. And so I went there, and they had a good selection of Warhammer stuff, but I don't play Warhammer, and I've only ever done a couple of their minis, so I don't usually get a lot of the Warhammer stuff, but they do have some interesting figures to work with. I would like to do some of their vehicles at some point. Maybe I'll do a whole series of these videos just with the Warhammer vehicles. They have got some cool tanks and stuff that I think would be fun to paint. So that would be fun. But the little tiny, like, humanoids and stuff like that, the orcs and elves and stuff like that, I'm not a big fan. They're very small. I mean, this is small, obviously, but they're very small, and you have to put them together, and it's not for me. If I played the game, I probably would appreciate it more, but I'm not a competitive gamer, so, like, I don't like to play competitive games. So those war-type games where you have an army and your opponent has an army, and they're just not for me. Alright, I think that's just about... Oh, there's one I missed. I was going to say I think that's all the little cracks, but I missed one. It's right in here. Just a tiny little one. Oh, I don't know if I can get the tip down in there. A game I like to call Just the Tip, just to see how it feels. And those of you who didn't get the Wedding Crashers reference there, shame on you. Alright guys, I'm probably going to end up going back over that again with another one, especially like in this area. I can see that's already getting very dark. But what do you guys think? I think that's looking really good. I would like to hear kind of what you guys think. Leave your comments and tell me what you think about that coloring. Again, this is the one that we did the white under. This side we didn't. So if you think that the white actually turned out pretty good, let me know. I'm not going to make this a very long video today. I am going to have to get in there and do the same thing under the inside of the wings, which is not fun. I think what I'm going to do is even... I wonder. This might be too solid of an area to really do. But while I'm thinking about it, I'm going to put some of this green on this one tip just to see how it dries and see. I mean, it's such a big space that the effect might be kind of lost, but let's kind of see how this works out. Just gonna thin it a little bit towards the top, keep it thicker at the bottom, and see how I like that fell green on these spikes, because I was originally thinking that's the way I wanted to go with it, but the more I see this effect paint, the more I realize that it's really not designed to be over large flat spaces. It doesn't really stay even, and so I think a lot of that isn't gonna work, but we'll see. I can't get to this one spot, it's driving me crazy. There we go. Alright guys, well let me know what you think. I'm going to probably end up doing another layer over this once it's dry to get that green to really pop, especially at the very tip. But let me know what you think of the green in the cracks there. And we will do another video in the next couple days or so, hopefully. Really touch these up and then get in here on the inside cracks. And then we'll do these areas in the legs and chest and arms. I'm thinking I want to do maybe all the fur, like the tufts on his feet, maybe even his beard, at least a little bit of that green kind of dry brushed in there, maybe. I don't know. And then kind of on the back of his hair here too. So we'll see. Let me know what you think. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will upload this video to YouTube. Again, that's Perrin Paints Minis, and I'll have the link in the description. Have a good day.